Hello, I'm Sora Luxon, and this is Tarot card King of Swords, Heir of Air, one of the 16 minor arcana court cards, are Prince of the Chariots of the Wind. For all the king's thrones are chariots. You only come into magic in the occult through the kings. So these chariots are showing us the powers of Yod, that inertial, active, intentional movement of material forces. In the kings, these powers are swift and mighty, very strong, but also very quick to pass, as their effects fade as rapidly as the violent strength that first brought them about initially acted. Because they are always a power of force and intended action, all the kings wear armor, although sometimes it's not as obvious as we might think. So we see the king's armor here in crown and sword, symbolic pieces. His sword always ready, drawn and held up, a ready warning. His crown always firm and bright. If you look to the proportion and position of the Emperor of Sylphs, he seems not to touch the ground hardly at all, but instead to almost float despite his great size, right? He's floating on this landscape, representing a powerful mind and the great realm of mental discipline. So this king appears giant, with a vast ability to understand everything about him, to fully comprehend the big picture, and intellect that spans far and through. Generally slow and wise, generally cautious, but will act very swiftly, very violently, even ruthlessly against the illogical or the irrational. If this is your boss, this is someone who wants the well thought out plan of action clearly explained to them with flow charts and to have a laser sharp focus on things, right? Rather than being easily maneuvered by, friendly chit chat on the way up to the office and the elevator. That sort of thing isn't going to appease them. The archons this king rules, those winged youthful fae, the fairy, the archfairy, are crested on his throne, displayed through the trinity of butterflies, emblem of the archfey, who even appears vaguely outlined above the emperor's left shoulder, nude and winged among the gray clouds of the throne. His crown is graced by an angelic head. This is a regal crest. Those of an analytic bent, people like lawyers, career diplomats, scientists, judges, people involved in law enforcement, authority figures, people of incredible self-discipline, successful military men, for instance. Those are displayed in the King of Swords. Deep thinkers of steady and stern internal honesty who are also very loyal. People who protect those in need, but are also fierce against any form of foolishness. There's great integrity here. Someone who plays by the rules, but also a person who tends to be clinical, methodical, stern, intelligent and discerning, fair-minded, but can also be very cool or detached because of that constant need to play by the book. Half-truths get cut down by the King of Swords. He does not suffer fools well. Birds rise high above the vaporous clouds of his lands, emblems again of his powers and rulership. And those clouds in the background, they're gray rather than white, laden with the storm's potential. Nimbi, plural of nimbus, rain clouds of powerful force, soon to give way to clearer skies again once their work is done. So the King of Swords does not fall prey to the waters, to his emotions, but has authority up over them, prefers the logical. The King of Wands, on a deeper, far more occulted level, whispers to us in the hidden sign of Alpha and Omega. That power which gives life only to cut it down just as fast. The giver of death. The creator who cuts down the creation even as it's being caused to rise up by them again and again. In the powers of air, we have always the mental. And here, that advises us in the king's head, full of thoughts. There is an eternal horizon of shifting clouds behind the throne, of shifting ideas behind this king's eyes. A mind full of designs that has a firm hand both for friendship and enemies. Ruling from 20th degree of Capricorn to the 20th degree Aquarius, the King of Swords floats, sometimes too slow, too careful, and too cautious, but always in control. So what to do with the King of Swords upright? Analyze, be thoughtful, and require well thought out plans, full comprehension, logic from those around you. Set the emotional aside. This is head over heart. Think clearly. Use your head, not your heart. Be rational, analytical, logical, intelligent. Even if it seems harsh, that's what's called for now. The King of Swords reversed. When we look to the King of Swords reversed, sometimes what we're being spoken to, what it's speaking to us of, is all of the clever designs and ideas of the king upright turning into malicious plotting, scheming, dishonesty, an overly authoritative harshness that's become stubborn or obstinate in behavior. Logic used to harm others or manipulate them. There are many kinds of bullies, and the King of Swords reversed can use their great mental power, that intelligence, their intellect, to bully and browbeat others, seemingly having or showing no compassion, no heart at all to those around them, but instead being so severe as to be ruthless, unrelentingly hard, despotic, always dictating, and never showing mercy, even when it's called for. That type of thing. This is the parent who grounds the child, the very young child, for simply being a child, for hardly breaking the rule that's so overly strict it never should have been a rule to begin with. Or the boss that's so strict it actually interferes with their staff's ability to produce rather than aiding them to their full potential. Oh, you spoke slightly too loudly in your bedroom after 4 p.m., so you can't leave the house for a year, right? Someone who's way too caught up in the decency of manners to where it actually becomes indecent behavior, poor manners on their part, that sort of a thing. Or you filed all 3 reports for this project on time and in triplicate, but you forgot to cross one T in the 342nd paragraph of your informal notation subsection. So go ahead and spend the next month rewriting the entire thing before you ever come back to me in my office and bring it back to me. See, that sort of quote-unquote intellect, rationality, authority, not very useful. Just bullies being bullies, really. Individuals who are being judgmental, too strict, or just downright wrong. But much more often, the King of Air reversed, and you won't hear this many places outside of someone who's deeply trained in the Enochian, Hermetic, or more veiled messages of the tarot. The king reversed here, this King of Swords reversed, can reveal the instability of the reticent. Because individuals who hesitate far too much tend to have the King of Air reversed leap from the deck to their fingertips. Advising of an individual or internal state that's far too prone to be overcautious to the point of useless timidity, and therefore very unreliable to themselves and to everyone all around them. So instead of where you had the king upright as maybe a stern but very responsible and dependable, experienced military man, here you have someone who's so shy, so wilting, so much a wallflower that they can't even protect themselves and create more chaos that doesn't even need to be there. Think Piglet from Winnie the Pooh. A voice so thin and full of air, a presence so slight and shifting, it can hardly be trusted to make itself known or felt at all, always shying away, never trusting in anyone or anything, or the ability of themselves, of the self. That's the king of air reversed a majority of the time, because the omega and alpha reversed is going to be, this very shy, unpowerful, hardly there type of presence. So what to do? If you're being bullied by an authoritarian figure, don't fight back directly. Don't confront them directly or lash out at them. It won't help. If you are the one being too judgmental, lay down your sword and take a beat. Step back a moment and try to see if there is unfairness at play here, whether by you or another. Try to see if something unfair, irrational, is buried underneath all the supposed logic that's being used to prove a point that isn't helping anyone. Disengage. Don't get emotional. Be methodical. Use your head and reason things out. Rely on your integrity, maturity, and intelligence. And if you're being overcautious, hesitant, timid, if that's what's going on, first become aware of it. Acknowledge it so that you can begin the process of dissolving it and cultivating a sense of responsibility and wise, authoritative maturity where your hesitancy used to thrive. Until next time.